The night everything almost fell apart arrived quietly, without warning, like a breath held too long. Rain slid down the windows in slow, trembling lines, and the city lights outside blurred into a tired glow, mirroring the exhaustion inside one broken heart. In that small apartment, surrounded by unpaid bills, unanswered messages, and memories that felt heavier than furniture, it seemed as if hope itself had packed its bags and left. This was the kind of night where people decide whether they will keep going or finally give in to the weight pressing on their chest, and no one could have guessed that this would be the exact moment when love, unexpected and unannounced, would finally show up. Before we go any further, if you believe in kindness, second chances, and the quiet power of love that changes lives, take a moment to like this video, share it with someone who might need hope today, leave a comment, and subscribe to the channel. Your support helps keep stories like this alive. The person at the center of this story had once been full of plans and confidence, the kind of person who believed hard work always paid off and that doing the right thing was enough. Years earlier, life felt predictable in a comforting way. Mornings had purpose, evenings had laughter, and the future looked like a road that made sense. But life has a way of pulling the ground out from under even the strongest feet. One unexpected loss turned into another, and soon stability became survival. A job disappeared, savings slowly drained away, and relationships grew distant under the strain of constant worry. People who once checked in every day started to fade into silence, not out of cruelty, but because pain makes others uncomfortable. Each day became a test of endurance. Waking up felt like lifting something heavy off the chest just to breathe. Small tasks felt enormous. The mind replayed mistakes endlessly, wondering where everything went wrong and how it could have been prevented. Shame became a quiet companion, whispering that needing help meant failure. The world outside kept moving at its usual pace, indifferent to the storm happening inside. Bills continued to arrive, deadlines passed, and hope became something remembered rather than felt. There were moments when giving up seemed easier than trying again. Standing in crowded places made the loneliness worse, because it highlighted how invisible one person could feel among so many. Nights were the hardest. Darkness amplified every fear, every regret, every unanswered question. Sleep came in short, restless fragments, and mornings arrived too soon, demanding strength that no longer felt available. Yet somewhere beneath all that exhaustion, a small stubborn spark refused to go out. It wasn't optimism or confidence. It was simply the refusal to completely disappear. That spark showed itself in tiny acts, like applying for one more job after dozens of rejections, or forcing a walk outside just to feel air on the face. Progress was slow and often invisible, but it was movement all the same. Then came the moment when everything felt like it was about to collapse for good. A final notice arrived, stark and unforgiving, making it clear that time had run out. Sitting alone with that piece of paper, hands shaking, the weight of failure felt unbearable. It wasn't just about money or shelter anymore. It was about worth, about whether this life still mattered enough to fight for. Tears came without drama, just quiet surrender, and for the first time, the thought of not waking up tomorrow felt less frightening than facing another day. And that was when love arrived, not in a grand cinematic way, but softly, almost shyly. It came through a small interruption in the routine of despair, a message that wasn't asking for anything, a knock that wasn't demanding payment, a presence that didn't judge or analyze, but simply existed with warmth and concern. Love showed up disguised as human connection, as someone choosing to care without being asked. This love didn't fix everything instantly. It didn't erase problems or magically restore what was lost. Instead, it did something far more powerful. It reminded one tired soul that they were not invisible, that their struggle had been seen, that their existence mattered to someone else in the world, That simple recognition cracked open a door that had been sealed shut by months of isolation. With that crack of light came a shift, slow but undeniable. The days didn't suddenly become easy, but they became possible. Help appeared in small, practical ways: advice, encouragement, resources that had seemed unreachable before. Each act, no matter how minor, felt like a thread being woven back into a torn fabric of life. Trust, once damaged, began to rebuild itself, not in the world at large, but in the idea that kindness still existed. Strength returned gradually, the shoulders lifted a little higher, the eyes started meeting the mirror again without turning away. There was still fear, still uncertainty, but it was no longer faced alone. Knowing that someone believed in them made it easier to believe in themselves, even on days when confidence felt thin. Time passed, marked not by dramatic transformations, but by steady improvement. One opportunity led to another. Stability began to take shape again, fragile but real. More importantly, the heart changed. The pain that once felt meaningless started to feel like something that could be transformed into understanding and empathy for others. The memory of that dark night remained, not as a wound, but as proof of survival. Looking back, it became clear that love hadn't arrived to save the day in a traditional sense. It arrived to remind a broken person that they were worth saving themselves. It showed up when strength was gone, when hope was exhausted, and when the world felt coldest, and in doing so, it changed the entire direction of a life. If this story has touched you even a little, please pause right now and write a comment sharing what part stayed with you the most. Your words might be exactly what someone else needs to read today. As the journey continued, gratitude replaced bitterness. Not because the pain was justified, but because it led to a deeper understanding of what truly matters. Love was no longer seen as something dramatic or rare. It was recognized in small choices, in presence, in compassion given without conditions, and that understanding became something to pass on, a quiet mission to notice others who looked strong on the outside, but were barely holding on inside. Near the end of this chapter, standing in a place that once felt unreachable, there was no celebration, no applause, just a deep, steady breath and the realization that survival itself was an act of courage. The scars remained, but they no longer defined the future. They simply told a story of endurance, of darkness, and of the moment when love showed up right on time. If this story moved your heart, inspired you, or reminded you that you're not alone, please like this video, share it with someone who might need hope, and subscribe to the channel for more stories that speak to the soul. Your engagement helps spread kindness further than you may ever realize, because sometimes love doesn't arrive when life is easy. It shows up when it's needed most, quietly changing everything, one human moment at a time.